81 hours. This is probably the longest save file I've ever had. And what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Persona 5. Now, I just beat this game after playing it for the last 3 months. And as I just mentioned, my save file clocked in at 81 hours. Wow. And that's just main story. A little bit of the side quests here and there. Um, but overall, let's talk about Persona 5 for a minute. Now, this was the first ever Persona and Shin Megami Tensei game, throwing that out there, that I've ever played. I didn't really know what I was getting into going in here, but I've heard this game was an RPG that redefined the genre. And overall, I really enjoyed this game. I mean, I don't think there's any other game out there that I've ever put this much time into and never really got bored of. So in this game, you're basically a member of the group, the leader of the group called the Phantom Thieves, and you guys go around stealing people's hearts and changing basically their cognition. So basically, what that does is, in essence, someone who's essentially a bad guy, you'd go into what's the metaverse, which is like an alternate universe. You'd steal their heart and their treasure, and basically it just changes everything about them, from how they view things, from how they act, and overall it makes the game very interesting. A lot of the side quests involve the exact same thing, and the game itself has a certain charm to it. The cutscenes are a mixture of like real-time in-game engine cutscenes and anime cutscenes, like a lot of JRPGs do. And overall, the battle system is fun. It's a very interesting turn-based system that I've really never seen done before. And also, you have these things called personas, which are basically, I want to say they're like entities that you can fuse and create and level up and advance aside from leveling up your own character. And these personas are what have the abilities that you use to fight the enemies. Now, when you're in battle, you can do gun attacks, melee attacks, and then persona attacks, which basically could be like fire attacks, psychic attacks, all things along those lines. Elemental attacks, magic attacks, basically. But each different persona you fuse has different abilities, and overall it makes for an interesting dynamic and a very interesting strategy into how you have to fight certain enemies, how you have to beat the enemies to find their weaknesses and make the battles a whole lot easier. Um, I could say from experience that once you realize the weaknesses of certain enemies, beating them and the battles go by real fast if the enemies do have weaknesses. Now, not all enemies in this game have a weakness, which is something that you have to look out for. Um, Now, the characters in this game, the dialogue in this game, has a very interesting sense of seriousness and a sense of humor, which makes a lot of parts in this game really fun and really interesting to interact with. Whereas other parts of the game, as I mentioned, they give a very serious tone. Um, One thing that's cool is that you have confidants by vows and deals that you make with certain characters in the game, and each persona, which I didn't mention, has a certain type to them, which it's basically what type of persona they are, from like a justice persona to a full persona, and etc. and etc. Now, as you level up the confidant ranks, the persona's abilities become stronger, and that allows the persona to have different abilities, the characters to have different abilities, and people on your team can help you out. They can jump in front of attacks. They can cure status ailments without you having to use items, and it makes the game very dynamic. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can play this game, because you're not required to do any of the side quests. You're not required to level up the personas, even though it's recommended because it really, really helps in the long run of the game. Now, um, this game is definitely a game that if you're new to RPGs, it's definitely a game that would definitely give you a run for your money. Probably confuse you a little bit, and overall, you really would kind of get thrown into the thrust of what a role-playing game is. Now, this game, I definitely would recommend. It's a very fun game, a very interesting game, and a game that, as you can tell by my 81 hours put in, will keep you busy for a really, really long time. I've heard beautiful things about the Persona series in general, and this game I've heard is now the best in the series, just for the fact of the depth, the length, the complexity of the game, and there's just so much to do. So many characters to meet. You're a school kid by day, basically a superhero by night, and that's Persona 5, guys. If you've played this game, what did you think of it? Leave it all in the comments below. Do you recommend it? Do you not recommend it? Guys, if you've played any of the other Persona games, which ones do you recommend? As always, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out all my other videos, including my game reviews. I'm about to get ready to go to bed. I've been up since about 5 o'clock this morning. It's now 12:18. As you can tell, I don't really have the energy I usually have doing these videos because I'm tired right now, guys. So, as always, thanks for watching. Go check out Persona 5. Leave your comments on the game below. And until next time, you guys have a good night, a good day, whatever time you're watching this. Just have a good one.